What up, lads? My name is John. This is Across the Board, and I am going to my best of my ability, break down the Champions League games that happened this week. So if you guys know me, you know I'm a massive Liverpool fan, so I'm going to try to break this down, even though it hurts so much to talk about. So I'll talk about the games in order, and first up is RB Leipzig versus Tottenham. Now, RB Leipzig already came into this game with a 1-0 lead over Tottenham, where they played in London, and this game was even worse for Tottenham than the London game. Jose Mourinho kind of expressed after the first leg loss that they were a bullet with no gun. They didn't have the depth, they didn't have the energy, and they had their best players out to injuries that were still going to affect this game as well, as the players were still going to be out. And he was right. I think that Jose may not put any of the blame on himself, but there is a good argument that there really wasn't much Tottenham could do. Sabitzer gets a goal in about the 10th minute, very, very early on. It was an odd goal, too, because Timo Werner just hits a shot, goes off a defender, and falls to Sabitzer's feet. And it just seems like it's one of the shots just going into the lower corner of the net, and it just seemed like Hugo Lloris was going to get to it, and just he jumps for it, and it doesn't happen. It was just an odd goal to go in. And it just seemed like, all right, if that's what's going to go on this game, Tottenham's got no shot. Then Sabitzer gets another goal after Angelino gives him a cross, just a very short cross into Sabitzer for a header. Hugo Lloris again can't get to it. It just seemed like everyone on Tottenham were just kind of out of rhythm and off. Angelino looked great in this game as well as Sabitzer obviously getting himself a brace. Forsberg comes off the bench and with his first touch gets a goal after just kind of a scrum in the box. Just falls to Forsberg's feet, and he ends up getting a goal. RB Leipzig were the much better team throughout this entire game. I know as a Liverpool fan, I was rooting, I was tweeting out that I cannot wait for me to stop saying future Liverpool star Timo Werner and just start saying Liverpool star Timo Werner. Timo Werner, I love you. Tottenham's goals now just need to be to get into the top 4, maybe even 5 if Man City are actually suspended from the Champions League, and then be able to spend in the summer and get Jose his guys. I mean, if Tottenham are not willing to spend, what was the reason of getting rid of Poch in the first place? As far as RB Leipzig, though, they're a good team. I don't see them as a favorite to win the Champions League or anything, but I think that they can make a serious run. The next game gives me a little bit of happiness as Atalanta versus Valencia. And Atalanta were already up 4-1 against Valencia in the first leg. And it seemed like it was impossible for Valencia to make a comeback. They'd have to do a Liverpool-like heroic comeback. And it looked terrible for Valencia at the beginning as in the first 90 seconds or so. Illich gets a penalty after he gets fouled in the box. And of course, he slots that one in, just barely, but slots it in. However, Kevin Gameiro gets himself a goal, and it seems like Valencia are starting the comeback. He gets the goal after Jose Luis Palomino attempts to save the ball and just kind of fall. It helps Gameiro get to the ball. Gameiro ends up getting the first goal, and they're making a comeback. They're trying. But that comeback is derailed when there's a handball in the box against Valencia, and Atalanta get another goal, which Illich again slots in. But Gameiro did not want to be outdueled as he gets himself a second goal after a terrific cross from Torres. And then Torres gets himself a goal. And Valencia are up 3-2 at this point, but it's still 6-4 on aggregate. And then Illich made sure that he was the man of the match throughout this entire game on both sides. As he gives a pass off to Zapata. Zapata gives it back to him. Illich scores. And then he also scores in the 82nd minute to put Atalanta through to the quarterfinals. You have to absolutely love Atalanta. Neither one of these games, I guess I should say that, neither one of these games had fans. And the next game I talk about also did not have fans due to the coronavirus. So it would have been great to see some of the away Atalanta fans celebrating. But it is cool to see the fans use that refunded money to help out the Bergamo region of Italy, which they are affected with. Next up, next day, PSG versus Dortmund, and PSG do what I did not think that they were going to do. I actually had Dortmund winning this one, and I thought after the first leg, yeah, Dortmund's absolutely winning this. But PSG end up getting a relatively early, about 28th minute header from Neymar, and it's starting to look like, okay, maybe PSG can do this. Then it's 2-2 on aggregate. At this point, next goal wins, and PSG get the goal. PSG get the goal right before halftime as Angel Di Maria gets it just in the final seconds of halftime, which definitely had to be demoralizing to Dortmund. And honestly, this story was more of Dortmund's defense, which has been poor all season in the Bundesliga, than the usual Dortmund's attack saving them. I mean, Jadon Sancho still looked very, very good, and Erling Haaland still looked good, but it wasn't enough to break through the PSG defense, which is a very tough defense to get through. They didn't have the same magic that they had in the first leg, and it ended up costing them because their defense is poor right now. I do think some things are worth noting about this game, though. One, PSG continue to play Neymar. He's really, really good. But also, I did find it kind of funny. Emre Can and Neymar competing for a ball, and Neymar is beating Emre Can. Go figure there. But Emre Can ends up fouling Neymar, kind of gives him a hip check, a shove. And then Emre Can kind of stands over Neymar a little bit. Neymar gets up, gets in his face, and Emre Can just kind of picks him up like a puppy and throws him. Just kind of like pushes him down, and Neymar goes down too easily. I do find it relatively difficult to root for Neymar in a bunch of these instances, as he just seems to go down so easily. And look, I love Neymar. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. His flashiness is great and everything, but it's a little just disheartening when he goes down so easily. He doesn't really put up a fight a lot of the times. I wish I'd see a little bit more grit out of Neymar sometimes. But to Neymar's credit, it gets Emre Can a red card and certainly did not help out Dortmund in their comeback. And PSG end up winning this one 2-0. I think that now that they're playing Neymar more, maybe he's a little bit happier with PSG. Not exactly sure if he's going to stay there or not, but I think this game certainly didn't hurt their relationship. Also, after the game, Neymar and Kylian Mbappe and the rest of PSG did the Erling Haaland celebration. Seemed like they took something personal from that first leg. And I would love to see a PSG versus Dortmund rivalry. I would certainly be on the Dortmund side of things, but that's just me. But then PSG did go celebrate with the fans after the game. Probably didn't help out with all the coronavirus speculation and everything, but to me, it was really, really dope. Let's talk about it. I'm fine. I'm fine to talk about it. I'm good. I'm fine. Liverpool versus Atletico. Again, gigantic Liverpool supporter here. This one was tough to watch, as I think that Liverpool were absolutely the better team throughout 90 minutes. I got to give a lot of love to Diego Simeone, and I will talk about something that he did in a second. But I think Liverpool were the much better team. They end up getting a goal. Gini Wijnaldum, he loves a big-time goal, doesn't he? He ends up getting a goal in the 43rd minute. And it really kind of sucked that it was the 43rd minute, because I felt like Liverpool right after that had a ton of energy, and they would have gotten another goal if they would have scored this, say, the 30th minute. It would have been 2-0 by halftime, but the halftime break kind of helped out Atletico. Of course, Atletico played extremely defensive. They didn't play as defensive as I thought they were going to, but they certainly, they did. They played extremely defensive. They did the frustrating flops that they did in the first leg, and it really frustrated Liverpool in the first leg, and it did here again. It's not exactly football I love watching, but I can't say it wasn't smart from Atletico. It was not. It reminded me a lot of the PSG versus Liverpool game from the quarterfinals last year. Not quarterfinals, sorry. The group stage last year. Going into the second half, Liverpool almost get a second goal after Mo Salah gives a terrific turn, pops the ball up to Andy Robertson. It just goes off the crossbar. And there were so many chances from Liverpool. I don't know how many shots they had, but it had to be an absolute ton, because they had so many chances, and it was just either, Ox or Salah, just get it right over the bar, is just a little bit. Or it was John Oblak being absolutely phenomenal. Easily the man of the match here. He was terrific in goal for Atletico Madrid. Really making a case for best goalkeeper in the world right now. I will say throughout this game, I thought Salah was absolutely phenomenal. I think that he was our best player. I think Ox did pretty well in this one. Gini Wijnaldum did pretty well in this one. I think Henderson could have been better, but again, he was just coming off of an injury. I think Mane was really, really poor in this one. I think that Firmino was pretty poor in the first half, but he kind of got it a little bit together in the second half. But with the game 1-1 at the end of the 90 minutes, it goes into extra time. What I was tweeting about, what I was talking about, was how worried I was, an extra time away goal just would not feel right if that were to happen. For them to have the advantage and win off that, because you can debate away goals whether they should be an advantage or not, but an extra time away goal is certainly shit. I didn't think I had too much to worry about as Roberto Firmino gets a goal in the 94th minute, and it looked like that magic of Anfield once again came through, and Liverpool were going to once again go through and go into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That was until Adrian messes up. I'm not here to bash Adrian at all. I didn't like the way that our fans and just the rest of the world treated Loris Karius, and I don't want to do the same thing to Adrian. I think that he has come up big for us at many moments when Alisson's been hurt, and but this was a massive mistake, and he just gives the ball. He's going to pass to Van Dijk, I believe it was Van Dijk or Gomez, goes and passes it off and gives it to João Felix, just immediately to João Felix. João Felix just pops it off to Llorente, and the issue wasn't even that much of that he gives the ball to João, but it was that he doesn't go back to goal. He just kind of stands there almost as a defender for a little bit and is waiting for Llorente to do something. And he does. He gave Llorente far too much room. Llorente puts it into the back corner. You can say don't cry about it, Liverpool. You guys gave up 2 more goals, but it was that goal that really changed everything. Then now Liverpool are technically losing at that point, and they have to go completely offensive. And a ball goes into Llorente. Maybe it was inside the box or it was literally just right outside the box. And he literally puts it just about exactly where he had put the other one in goal. And Adrian was not able to stop it. He had his worst performance I've ever seen him have. El Pupas was not going on this game. Then Atletico Madrid get another goal right before the end of the game in extra time from Morata, and Diego Simeone celebrates with the away fans. Honestly, I think Simeone is a terrific coach. I think he's one of the best managers in the world. I think he proved that. I think that if there was talks of Atletico getting rid of Diego Simeone because of their domestic standings right now, I don't think that's going to happen. And if so, I've always been worried that Simeone was going to take over Man United or Arsenal. I think Man United would grab him immediately. I think Diego Simeone is just one of the best managers in the world. I have to give a lot of respect to Diego Simeone, who talked about how it was unfair and unjust that Liverpool are out due to an extra time goal being from the away. Again, they scored more goals, so you could say it didn't matter, but it completely changed the game. And who knows what would have happened. Atletico still could have won. Who knows? But in the end, this was the type of scenario that happened. And I got to give Simeone respect because he is against it. And he had said, yes, it benefited us this time. But in the next go, it may not. And I don't like the rule. I think that this should be changed. I don't know if it ever will. But I respect Simeone for being self-aware of the situation and not just going for it just because it benefited him this time. Because he knows that, football is a cruel game. It could benefit him this time in the next game or in the Champions League final. I guess it wouldn't be final. The Champions League semi-final, it goes against them. So that is it. That is Champions League. And then now the Champions League has been suspended due to the coronavirus. The Liverpool versus Atletico Madrid game was the only one that featured fans. And I don't know if that was the right call or not. I do think that just spinning games. Look, I'm the biggest sports fan you'll see. Again, we do across the board. We do, soccer. We do NFL. We do NBA. We do everything. Professional wrestling, everything. But fans' health is much more important. So the NBA has suspended their league for the time being. Serie A has suspended their league. Just about every league has suspended their league except for the Premier League, and we'll see what happens there. I want to see Liverpool win the Premier League. That will be great, but also I just kind of see playing games with no fans as being kind of pointless. And I believe Nino from Wolves, or it may have been Pep, talked about how it didn't make any sense for these fans to have to go travel, and it's an airborne disease that's going around, and they're risking the fans, or they're risking the players. But they don't think it's safe for fans, so it shouldn't be safe for the players either. And I agree. So we can hold off on sports for a little bit. And with all of this going on, I'll be coming out with certainly NFL, soccer, everything. It won't stop me covering what's going on. But I do think that there should be a safety factor with all of this. And I think that canceling this stuff right now is the right thing to do. That's just me. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out. Deuce.